The Galactic Council chamber erupted in chittering laughter as Ambassador Sarah Kim stepped up to the speaking podium. Her simple black suit looked almost primitive compared to the elaborate ceremonial garb of the other delegates, and her lack of visible technology branded her as coming from a backward species. The humans wished to address the council. High Arbiter Zexthala's voice dripped with condescension. How quaint. Though I'm not sure what a species that has barely achieved interstellar travel could contribute to our deliberations. More laughter rippled through the chamber. The Vorthack delegates' tentacles writhed with amusement. The crystalline Zerani chimed in harmonics that translated as mockery. Even the usually stoic Threnderi allowed their metal faces to display what passed for smiles among their kind. Sarah stood quietly, waiting for the noise to die down. In her hand, she held a simple data pad, ancient by galactic standards but sufficient for her needs. "Thank you for this opportunity," she began in perfect galactic standard. "I understand our request to mediate the Corvani territorial dispute has been poorly received." High Arbiter Zexthala leaned forward in his crystalline throne. "Ambassador Kim, with all due respect to your species' aspirations, the Corvani situation requires delicate handling by experienced civilizations. Your people have been in space for less than 2 centuries. We have been mediating such disputes for millennia." "Of course," Sarah nodded respectfully, "though I wonder if I might share something we discovered in our archaeological surveys of the Outer Rim." "By all means," Zexthala gestured magnanimously, clearly indulging what he saw as primitive curiosity. Sarah touched her data pad, and her voice changed completely. Instead of galactic standard, she began speaking in sounds that made several delegates shift uncomfortably in their seats, deep, resonant tones that seemed to echo with the weight of ages. "Veltar korvit nala trenai. Korvit nala veltar trenai." The laughter stopped instantly. High Arbiter Zexthala's 6 eyes widened in shock. Throughout the chamber, delegates were rising from their seats, their expressions shifting from amusement to astonishment to something approaching awe. "Corvani veltar trenet korvit nala vortak," Sara continued, her pronunciation flawless. "Nala serani trenet korvit veltar trendori." The Corvani delegate, who hadn't spoken since arriving at the council, suddenly stood and responded in the same ancient tongue. "Veltar Threnai." "Corveth Nala Threneth?" His voice carried a wonder that his translator couldn't fully convey. Sarah smiled and switched back to galactic standard. "The Corvani asks if I truly speak the old tongue." "Yes, Ambassador Kthara, we do. All of us." High Arbiter Zexthala found his voice. "That's impossible. The progenitor language has been dead for over 10,000 years. The last speakers died in the Great Silence. Even our most advanced linguists can only translate fragments. And yet," Sarah said calmly, "when humans discovered the ruins on Kepler 438c, we found intact linguistic matrices. Your ancestors, all of your ancestors, spoke this language before the Great Diaspora, before your species separated and evolved distinct tongues." She paused. "Before you forgot who you used to be." She turned to address the Corvani delegate directly, switching back to the ancient language. "Your people and the Vorthack were once one tribe, cousin brother. The Star Rivers remember, even if you have forgotten." The chamber was dead silent now. Delegates who had been at each other's throats for generations were staring at each other with new recognition, hearing echoes of shared ancestry in words they thought had been lost forever. The Zerani delegate, their crystalline form pulsing with emotional resonance, spoke hesitantly. "How? How much do you remember?" Sarah smiled sadly. "Everything, cousin sister. We remember all of it. The songs, the stories, the reasons why your peoples chose different stars." She looked around the chamber. "We remember who you were before you became who you are." High Arbiter Zexthala's voice was barely a whisper. "The Corvani territorial dispute is a family argument that's been going on for 6,000 years," Sarah finished gently. Perhaps it's time to remember that you're fighting over your parents' home.